Listen up, because what we're about to reveal will change how you look at luxury car auctions forever. You think these million-dollar hammer drops at Mecum, Barrett-Jackson, and RMS Sotheby's are all about finding rare classics. Think again. We've spent months digging into the dark underbelly of the collector car auction world, and what we found will blow your mind. We're talking about revolving inventory scams, celebrity consignment manipulation, and dealer infiltration that's rigging the game against regular collectors like you and me. But here's the thing. Once you know these secrets, you can beat them at their own game. So buckle up, because we're about to expose the truth behind America's biggest car auctions. Secret number 1. The revolving door scam. All right, let's start with the biggest shocker of all. You know Mecum auctions, right? They've actually overtaken Barrett-Jackson as the leading collector car auction house in 2024. But here's what they don't want you to know. They're running what we call the revolving door scam. Picture this. You're scrolling through their upcoming auction catalog, and you see this gorgeous 1967 Camaro SS. Looks amazing, right? But what if I told you that same exact car, same VIN, same everything, has been listed at their last 3 auctions and failed to sell every single time? Here's how we know this. There's this incredible tool called Classic.com that tracks VIN histories across all major auctions. And when you start digging, you'll find the same cars showing up over and over again. Mecum is essentially recycling their inventory to fill auction schedules and maintain those advertised lot counts that make their events look massive. Think about it from a business perspective. These auction houses need to fill seats and create excitement.
1970s did V8 Vega conversions, and this is the real deal right here, not a clone.
If they only had genuinely fresh inventory, their catalogs would be half the size. So they keep relisting cars that didn't meet reserve, sometimes dropping the reserve slightly, sometimes not. But here's where it gets really interesting. When you see a car that's been through the auction circuit multiple times, that's actually your golden opportunity. The seller is getting desperate. The auction house wants it gone, and you can negotiate from a position of strength. We found a guy who tracked a 1970 Challenger RT through 4 different Mecum auctions. Each time, it failed to sell. On the 5th appearance, he approached the consignor directly and got the car for 30% less than the original reserve. Why? Because everyone was tired of looking at it. So here's your action plan. Before you bid on anything, check Classic.com. Search that VIN number. If it's been making the rounds, you've got leverage. Don't get caught up in auction fever. Use their desperation to your advantage. The crazy part is, most bidders have no idea they're looking at recycled inventory. They see a packed auction house, hundreds of cars, and assume everything is fresh meat. But now you know better. Secret number 2. The Barrett-Jackson Celebrity Con. Now let's talk about Barrett-Jackson, the granddaddy of them all, the auction house that basically invented the televised car auction. They've built their reputation on celebrity consignments and no reserve excitement. But what they don't tell you is how they're manipulating both sellers and buyers. You've seen it. From the collection of Paul Walker, Barrett-Jackson loves to parade out cars owned by famous people because it drives up bidding. But here's the dirty secret. Half the time, that celebrity barely owned the car. We've tracked cars that were from the collection of major celebrities, only to find out through title research that the star owned it for less than 6 months. Sometimes they bought it specifically to flip it at Barrett-Jackson, knowing the celebrity provenance would add 50% to the value. And Barrett-Jackson is complicit in this scam. They hype up these celebrity connections in their TV coverage, their catalogs, their marketing. They'll spend 5 minutes talking about how this Mustang was owned by some action star, when the reality is he bought it from a dealer 3 months ago specifically to consign it. But here's where it gets really sleazy. Barrett-Jackson's no reserve policy sounds great in theory. Every car sells no matter what. But what they don't tell you is how they manipulate the process to protect their high-profile consigners. We've watched auctioneers work the crowd for 20 minutes on a celebrity car that should have sold in 5. They'll find phantom bidders, create artificial excitement,
but it's just been institutionalized in America, $60,000 for 4.
and basically refuse to let the car sell below what they think it should bring. Meanwhile, a regular guy's car gets rushed through in 2 minutes. Here's something most people don't know. Barrett-Jackson often has side agreements with celebrity consigners. They might guarantee a minimum price or agree to buy the car themselves if bidding doesn't reach a certain level. So much for no reserve, right? The worst part is how this celebrity manipulation distorts the entire market. When a mediocre Camaro sells for $150,000 because some B-list actor owned it for 5 minutes, it makes every other Camaro owner think their car is worth the same money. Here's the reality check. Celebrity ownership adds value, but not as much as Barrett-Jackson wants you to believe. A car owned by Steve McQueen for 10 years? That's worth a premium. A car owned by some reality TV star for 10 minutes? That's just marketing BS. So how do you protect yourself? First, research the ownership history. Don't just take their word for it. Second, ignore the celebrity hype and focus on the car itself. And third, remember that you're not buying the celebrity. You're buying the car. The saddest part is watching regular collectors get caught up in this celebrity fever, bidding way over market value because they think they're buying a piece of Hollywood history. Meanwhile, Barrett-Jackson is laughing all the way to the bank. Secret number 3. The dealer invasion. All right, here's the third secret that's going to really tick you off. Remember when car auctions were about enthusiasts buying from enthusiasts? Those days are long gone, my friend. What we're seeing now is a full-scale invasion of dealers into auction spaces. And I'm not talking about your local used car lot. I'm talking about sophisticated operations with deep pockets and zero emotional attachment to these cars. Here's how it works. You're bidding on a clean E30 M3 that you've wanted since high school. You're thinking about all the weekend drives, the track days, the memories you'll make. Meanwhile, the guy bidding against you is calculating retail margins and thinking about his next flip. These dealers don't care about the car's history, its provenance, or the story behind it. They see dollar signs. And because they're buying to resell at retail prices, they can afford to bid way more aggressively than a private buyer who just wants to enjoy the car. The worst part, they're often bidding against each other, which drives prices through the roof. You'll see a car that should sell for $40,000 go for $60,000 because 3 different dealers are in a pissing contest. And this creates a vicious cycle. Private buyers see these inflated hammer prices and think, wow, the market is really hot. So they start bidding more aggressively, driven by FOMO, not realizing they're competing against professional flippers. So how do you compete? First, set a firm budget and stick to it. Don't get caught up in bidding wars with dealers who have deeper pockets. Second, do your homework on actual market values, not just auction results that might be inflated by dealer activity. And third, consider private sales and dealer-free platforms. Yeah, you might not get the excitement of an auction, but you'll also avoid the markup that comes from dealer competition. The reality is, these dealers are manipulating the market. They're creating artificial demand, inflating prices, and then selling to the same enthusiasts who got priced out of the auctions in the first place. It's a rigged game, and the house always wins. And guess who benefits from all this dealer activity? The auction houses themselves. They get their buyer's premium whether the car goes to an enthusiast or a flipper. In fact, they prefer dealers because they're repeat customers who don't get emotional about individual cars. Secret number 4. The RMS Sotheby's Elite Manipulation. Now here's the 4th secret that'll really get your blood boiling. While Mecum and Barrett-Jackson are playing games with regular collectors, RMS Sotheby's is running an entirely different scam. One that's even more insidious, because it targets the ultra-wealthy and creates artificial scarcity for the rest of us. You see, RM Sotheby's positions itself as the Rolls-Royce of auction houses. They handle the really expensive stuff: your multi-million-dollar Ferraris, your one-off Porsches, your historically significant race cars. But what they don't tell you is how they manipulate the market through what we call phantom reserves. Here's how it works. They'll list a car with an estimate of, say, $2 to $3 million. Sounds reasonable, right? But what they don't disclose is that the consignor has set a secret reserve of $4 million. So even though the bidding might reach $3.5 million, the car doesn't sell because it didn't meet the hidden reserve. But here's where it gets really shady. After the auction, RM Sotheby's will quietly reach out to the underbidders and say, "Hey, the consignor is now willing to accept your $3.5 million bid." They make a private sale at a price that was supposedly not enough during the public auction. This creates artificial scarcity and manipulates market perception. When people see that a car failed to sell at $3.5 million, they assume it's worth more than that. Meanwhile, RM Sotheby's gets their commission on the private sale, and the consignor gets to maintain the illusion that their car is worth more than market value. But the real manipulation happens before the auction even starts. RM Sotheby's runs these exclusive preview events for their top clients. We're talking billionaires, hedge fund guys, tech moguls. These people get first crack at the best cars through private treaty sales before they ever hit the auction block. So by the time you and I see the catalog, all the truly special cars have already been cherry-picked by the ultra-wealthy. What's left for the public auction are either the cars that didn't interest the big money or cars that are being used as market manipulation tools. Here's another dirty trick. RM Sotheby's will sometimes consign cars with questionable provenance or condition issues, but they'll bury the problems deep in the fine print. They'll spend paragraphs talking about the car's racing history, but mention in one tiny sentence that the engine was rebuilt with non-original components. And if you think you can just show up and bid against these billionaires, think again. RM Sotheby's requires financial pre-qualification that's designed to keep out regular collectors. They want to see bank statements, credit reports, the works. It's not enough to have the money. You have to prove you're part of their exclusive club. The worst part is how this trickles down to affect the entire market. When RM Sotheby's manipulates the prices of the top-tier cars, it creates a false ceiling that affects everything below it. If a mediocre 250 GT sells for $15 million through their manipulation, suddenly every other Ferrari owner thinks their car is worth more too. And here's something most people don't realize. These inflated auction results are used by insurance companies and appraisers to set values for regular collectors. So even if you never set foot in an RM Sotheby's auction, their market manipulation is affecting your insurance premiums and your car's appraised value. The difference between RM Sotheby's and the other auction houses is that Mecum and Barrett-Jackson are at least somewhat transparent about their games. RM Sotheby's hides behind this veneer of respectability and exclusivity while running the most sophisticated manipulation scheme in the business. So how do you protect yourself from this manipulation? First, don't trust RM Sotheby's results as gospel for market values. Look at multiple sources, including private sales data. Second, if you're in the market for a high-end car, consider working with specialists who deal in private sales, rather than getting caught up in the auction hype. The reality is, the true market value of these cars is probably 20 to 30% less than what RM Sotheby's results would suggest. But because they control so much of the narrative around high-end collector cars, their manipulation affects everyone's perception of value. The truth about market conditions. Look, we are not trying to kill your dreams of owning that perfect classic, but you need to understand what you're up against. The collector car market has fundamentally changed, and not necessarily for the better. During the pandemic, everyone thought they were going to become a car flipper. Prices went through the roof, and auction houses were happy to fuel the frenzy. But now that the dust has settled, we're seeing a correction. The smart money is being more cautious, setting realistic expectations, and doing their homework. They're using tools like Classic.com to track VIN histories, seeing through celebrity marketing BS, and recognizing when they're bidding against dealers versus enthusiasts. The guys who are winning in this market are the ones who understand these secrets. They're patient, they're informed, and they're not afraid to walk away from a bad deal. The auction houses won't police themselves. They're making too much money off the current system. It's up to us as collectors to be smarter, more informed, and more skeptical of their marketing tactics. So, there you have it. The 4 secrets the auction houses don't want you to know. Mecum's revolving inventory game, Barrett-Jackson's celebrity manipulation, the dealer invasion that's pricing out real enthusiasts, and Sotheby's manipulating true market values. Remember, knowledge is power in this game. Use Classic.com to research VIN histories, see through the celebrity hype, and don't let auction fever cloud your judgment. If this opened your eyes to what's really happening in the collector car world, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. We've got more insider secrets coming that'll help you navigate this crazy market. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your wallet closed until you find the real deal. Peace out.